Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And do we have a busy show in store for you today. We've got a lot of updates, local, regional, national. Also, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Greg Tranter. His book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' Greatest Home Games, is out now, and you can have the opportunity to go to Barnes & Noble's on Saturday from 1 to 3 to get it signed and talk some Bills. Well, we're going to talk some Bills this morning, so spread the word for all of our Buffalo fans. All right, let's go to some viewer comments from after yesterday's program and early this morning. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. I see Trump had the FBI raid the Fulton County Election Center. He is still looking for those votes. And, of course, they're saying he is trying to make people scared to vote. Yes, we've seen the rhetoric, but that broke yesterday. FBI agents were seen carrying out a search at an election hub in Fulton County, Georgia, a location that became ground zero for concerns and complaints about voter fraud beginning in 2020. Agents were seen entering the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center, a new facility that state officials opened back in 2023 that was designed to streamline their election process. It's not immediately clear what the FBI agents were investigating. The Bureau said in a statement that they were executing a court-authorized law enforcement action at 5600 Campbellton Fairburn Road. Our investigation into this matter is ongoing, so there are no details that we can provide at this moment. So thank you, Mark. But yes, definitely there are certain factions of the Democrat Party as well as the media that are pushing a narrative that there may not even be midterm elections. We know Trump plays into that at times, saying there shouldn't be, but says it in a joking manner. But of course, the media takes him at, well, they read him literally. All right. I'll read that one in the next segment. This came in right after yesterday's broadcast. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I'm catching up on today's show. They had recorded it, meaning Frankly Speaking. If our local media does not put an end to this rumor about the ICE detention center, everyone should shut them off. I hardly ever watch them anyway, but they are irresponsible and fuel the flames all the time. This is so wrong and dangerous. It needs to stop before it gets out of hand. Well, I'll let you be the judge of the coverage of yesterday's legislative meeting. I had talked to some people on the ground there to get the information for you. It sounds like it was quite a raucous meeting. About 100 or so people showing up to protest a false rumor. So much so that one of the attendees that were there to protest admitted that it was not an ICE detention center, but as was kind of predicted here, that it would people that were duped by their so-called leader would then just turn it around and say, well, we're just against ICE in any form or fashion, saying let's get rid of any kind of deal with ICE. I don't know if we have to go through the whole story for you again, but it is a agreement with the county and the U.S. Marshal Services. This has been in operation for years. It had nothing. There is no, let me reword that. There is no ICE detention center. This was about a deal with U.S. Marshals. So what was the vote? Well, and I guess another argument that the protesters were making was that this isn't the old ICE, which I didn't know they supported the old ICE, if I'm being quite frank with you. But now apparently they do. But it's the new ICE that they are terrified of, each using their allotted, I think it's 3 minutes to speak. So my understanding is quite a long legislative meeting. Well, the votes on the agreement with the United States Marshal Service, and the only change from years past is that it went from $100 a day to house these inmates to $130 a day. So it was actually a benefit, an increased benefit to the county, that the agreement had been in place for over 30 years. Again, nothing new, no detention center. I can read that statement for you again if you'd like. But the vote passed. The legislature gives the okay for this renewed agreement for federal prisoners. Again, nothing shocking here, even after all the protests. It did pass, which is great news. The lawmakers that voted against it, for your records of the no votes of county lawmakers, you had Fred Potter, Joe Tobia, Deb Shannon, and Michael Volino. So they all voted no to allow for federal prisoners for the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, U.S. Marshals to be temporarily taken in to the Steuben County Jail in Bath. So again, that did pass. I'll let you be the judge of how you thought the coverage was. That is not my job to make up your mind for you. I have a different opinion than I think most of the news media. I'm not trying to make up your opinion for you and push an agenda. But in this scenario, it's good news. It passed with those unfortunate 4 no votes. Again, so much misinformation. I would say whatever your stance is on ICE, your stance is on this piece of legislation, if your quote-unquote leader of your group that wants you to protest along with them lies to you and jumps to a conclusion because it fits their narrative, I would say take a step back and maybe regroup and think if there's other ways that you want to become active. Because at the end of the day, they got what they wanted. It's basically a reward for bad behavior. So they lie about what is happening to get people worked up. Those people then attend the meeting. So the crowd looks big, and it was big, 100 people or so. So the crowd is big, but they're all there on a false pretense. But they still protest ICE anyway. But again, they got what they wanted, the people that lied originally, because when the news media was there or people attended the meeting, they saw that large crowd, so they can claim victory. They can share it on social media. They can pat themselves on the back, get as many likes and hearts and care symbols on their Facebook page as humanly possible, because isn't that what that's all about at the end of the day? A protest, I would argue most time, isn't about change. It's about look at me, me. I'm the one working the hardest. Here's a great question. Were the no voters Democrats? Great question. So I want to be very clear. There's only, I believe, 3 Democrats. Is there 4? I can't remember. I'll have to do the exact math. But I think there's only 3. I think there's Hilda Lando, Joe Tobia, and Deb Shannon. So Hilda Lando, as the way I understand it from people there, gave a fiery response, did a wonderful job, stood her ground, even as the protesters yelled at her, screamed at her, but she knew what was right, what this decision was all about. She wasn't basing it on the lies that were being pushed on social media. So to my understanding, unless, I'll have to look that up, but I believe that the only Democrats that voted no were Joe Tobia and Deb Shannon. So that would mean Michael Volino and Fred Potter are Republicans. And I could be wrong about Fred Potter. I'll have to look into that. But I know Michael Volino is a Republican, won on the Republican ticket. Okay, so we'll keep you updated on that throughout the broadcast. For those that maybe missed it or want to know more, please keep those questions coming in. I will let you know if I hear anything else. But that is the big takeaway, that it did pass, and you had 4 no votes. All right, quickly, as a few updates as we get it going here. The Football Hall of Fame has now threatened to remove voters who violated their bylaws one day after the Bill Belichick snub. Uh-oh. The Hall of Fame posted a statement about 24 hours after ESPN reported that former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick would not be elected during the first year of candidacy. While the Hall did not mention him specifically, or the ensuing, I guess you could say, kerfuffle. I don't even follow sports that regularly, but in this scenario, it was a lot of coverage. It did say it would remove any voters who violated any of the organization's bylaws. Quote, the Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshriners of the hall itself in light of published reports regarding the voting. results for the class of 2026. It's that very passion that propels the game. The Hall also respects the members of the selection committee when they follow the selection process bylaws. It is an honor to serve as a selector. I don't want to read any more of their statement. Just as kind of a quick update on that. Hey, since we're talking sports, it seems as if Team Canada found a way to have manipulated competition that cost us, Americans, a shot at the Milan Cortina Olympics at the North American Cup in Lake Placid. Canada's actions denied American Olympian Katie Oulander a chance to earn enough points to qualify for the upcoming Winter Games. This was an investigation by the International Bobsled and Skeleton Federation, and it looks as if Canada manipulated that outcome at the North American Cup so that the American lost the points to qualify for the upcoming Winter Games. Also in sports, clamor is growing in Europe to boycott Trump's World Cup. The FIFA World Cup, a much beloved sporting event. Well, because Trump is in office, of course, we see calls for boycott. He has for months cast a soccer tournament to be held in cities across Canada, Mexico, and the United States as part of his legacy. Of course, he won the FIFA Peace Prize. And then, of course, Washington Post goes in to criticize the Peace Prize. But listen to this. Concerns only intensified after Trump's raid to seize Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Wow, seize. And demands to obtain Greenland. A petition circulated by a popular Dutch broadcaster, not going to try to pronounce it, that calls on the Netherlands to withdraw from the tournament has garnered more than 140,000 signatures. Quote, "We do not want our footballers, through their performances at the tournament, to implicitly support the policy of violent terrorism pursued by President Donald Trump against innocent immigrants, whether or not they hold a U.S. passport." We are going to talk about this idea. And it goes back. There's an interesting piece, I think it was at the Washington Examiner, saying that what this really boils down to at the end of the day when I talk about deportations is that the left, who had open porous borders under Biden, wanted to continue that. They don't want to deport any illegal citizen. So we'll be talking about that, but I just tied it in with sports. When we return, I have a couple other updates. One that is not going to surprise you, but many of you predicted when it comes to New York State. Many of you predicted it, and it has something to do with gas-powered lawn equipment. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. A lot of comments coming in. You don't want to miss it.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When weather hits the Twin Tiers, the road changes fast, and your tires should keep up. At Tire World, we're here to make sure you're ready for every snowy morning, icy curb, and late-night drive home. From all season to dedicated snow tires, our experts help you find the perfect fit for your car, your budget, and the way you drive. Fast service, trusted brands, and safety you can feel every mile. Don't wait for the first storm and roll into winter with confidence. Tire World of Corning, family service you can trust.
There have always been a few, ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Voss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Steve here. Well, hey, Steve. What a day for the future of the children in the United States of America that are citizens. Important caveat. Was a Trump accounts being put in place and receiving $1,000 for a child being born between the years of 2025 and 2028. Democrats' heads must be exploding trying to figure out a way to exploit this to try to make it look like a bad thing, because it means that the children will automatically not be dependent on the system once they reach age 18. And the Democrats can't have a stranglehold on them, believing that they need to be a part of a system that will be there to support them. Yes, keeping them on the government dole their entire lives. When all it actually does is give him or them enough breadcrumbs to exist, meaning the government dole, keeping them addicted, if you will, to bureaucracy, to the government. What's your feelings? Well, you're spot on. This was who was it that said it? Was it Scott Bessent that said this may be the most important? I have other comments, by the way, but the most important part of Trump's legacy. The president said that the Trump accounts will put $3 to $4 trillion of wealth in young Americans' hands over the next 15 years. He touted it the first generation of Trump account children. We're going to give every newborn American child a financial stake in the future, head start on life, and a fair shot at the American dream. The president estimated that over the next decade and a half, Trump accounts will give young Americans a combined $3 trillion to $4 trillion in wealth. With the support of the men and women here in this beautiful room, over the next 15 years, we're going to put $3 to $4 trillion of wealth into the hands of young Americans who otherwise would have really started out with nothing. From their standpoint, they'll have a real start at life. And that's why decades from now, I believe the Trump accounts will be remembered as one of the most transformative policy innovations of all time. And I've done a lot of them, said Trump. Scott Bessent essentially echoing that statement, saying the Trump accounts may be Trump's most enduring legacy. Now, as this is successful, keep in mind they will relabel it as soon as they can. When I say they, it'll be the media, Democrats. They will not continue in the future. If they can somehow revoke the money, they probably will, much like trying to destroy the ballroom at the White House. So they may either take the money back, or if that is not possible, I'm sure they're not going to continue to call it a Trump account as it is successful. But every child born between January 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028 is eligible for a $1,000 deposit into a Trump account from the federal government. Every child under 18 years old in America right now is also eligible for the creation of a Trump account where their parents or their parents' employers can deposit up to $5,000 a year on a tax-advanced basis. Employers can contribute up to $2,500 of that, and then the funds in the accounts cannot be accessed until the child is at least 18 years. But Scott Bessent said it'll be President Trump's most enduring legacy item. The New York Post editorial board said, unlike virtually every other government spending program sold as an investment in the future, Trump accounts look to fit that bill, with 401k-style investment accounts for newborns that can teach the value of saving and, importantly, the power of compound interest from the cradle on. Now, Nicki Minaj, the rapper, was part of the star power. We'll talk about that in just a moment as Trump touted the Trump accounts. As Speaker Johnson notes, they encapsulate such core American values as the belief that everyone gets a shot. And they simply put powerful ideas that if you work hard and play by the rules, you can improve the standings of your family in one generation. Funded as a 2-year pilot under the One Big Beautiful Bill, the program puts $1,000 into a new account for each child born in those 4 years, with provisions for parents or employees or employers, et cetera, et cetera. Unlike giveaways favored by the left, which drive up the national debt and spike inflation, Trump accounts won't flood the economy with fresh cash, but instead prime the pump of long-term investment, offering a giant blow to inequality and a boost to socio-economic mobility. Voters may not give Republicans credit this November for launching this fantastic innovation, but it's still a fantastic step towards promoting the nation's long-term prosperity. Another example of Trump not just playing the short game like Democrats are so known for, looking at the long game, a time when he'll be no longer with us, most likely. but knowing that it'll be a boom to a future America, and that is very impressive. Okay, comments, continuing with viewer comments. Thank you for that, Steve. Are the Football Hall of Fame voters the same ones who voted for Bad Bunny to do the halftime show? If not, who voted for this offensive oddball? I don't know. I think that was Goodell and the NFL in general. We also learned just, a week ago, I think I brought it up on the program, that Green Day, who is known to hate Trump, talks about it a lot in their songs, at live performances, they will be opening the ceremony as well, being a part of the ceremony at the beginning of the broadcast. So, yeah, I think that's just Goodell and some of the NFL who apparently do not like Trump and do not want to push kind of American values and get performers, highly popular performers, some of the biggest performers in the country, our country musician, not go that direction, but go a completely different direction. Continuing, Mark writes in, these protesters are nuts to stand out in this cold to protest. I certainly wouldn't do it. Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're referring to, Mark. Now, I will say the protest yesterday at the legislative meeting, that was indoors, probably why they got bigger crowds than normal. But to the protests that I see on Market Street once, twice, 3 times a week, I don't understand it either. They were even there, it was a small group, but even outside protesting on Monday after that huge snowstorm as the roads are still not cleared. I agree with you. I don't know what it accomplishes at the end of the day, but again, they get their cars honking as they go by, they get their photos, they get pats on the back from kind of their echo chamber. And that's really what we saw yesterday at the protests at the legislature. And when I say protest in that scenario, I guess it did get pretty raucous. I guess it did get pretty aggressive at times where people had told, be respectful. But overall, you had 100 people there who were lied to that there was going to be an ICE detention center where their leader was then told, they did tell them that, oh no, that's not true about the ICE detention center, but we still hate ICE. And the talking point was the new ICE isn't the same as the old ICE. Okay. But they attend the meeting. Again, luckily, the legislation passed. We will continue as Steuben County to work with the U.S. Marshals and house those federal prisoners. And the vote, again, because people keep asking, the votes against it, there were 4 votes against it, and I did a little research. So, because people asked about Democrats, and I want to be very clear. Hilda Lando, who is a Democrat, a friend of Frankly Speaking, been on the program numerous times, she was very adamant in support of this, meaning, yes, she supported it, and she was full-throated in her endorsement and stood up against a crowd that of her, I would say, her own party, relatively attacking her, and she stood strong on an issue that she knows is right. So kudos to Hilda Lando. But the 4 that voted against it, Michael Volino, now he is a Republican. He's been on the program numerous times. From Cameron, Canastillo, and Thurston. He's newly elected. This was his first term, just sworn in January. Fred Potter, also Republican. He's in the district of Greenwood, Jasper, Rathbone, Troopsburg, West Union, and Woodhull. Also voting against it, Joe Tobia, who is a Democrat. So you've got Michael Volino, Republican, Fred Potter, Republican, Joe Tobia, Democrat. Joe Tobia here is in the city of Corning. And then the newly elected legislator for Irwin, Deb Shannon, she voted no as well, and she is a Democrat as well. So 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. If you have any more questions on that, please let me know. A comment from a different viewer. Some of those no votes on the county vote are well known to Frankly Speaking. You're right. And it might be worth an on-air phone call to hear why. Because to me, it seems that they are passive collaborators with those who seek to nullify the 2024 election and federal immigration law. You have a great point, and I'm sure I will be talking to them in the future. I don't have anything set in stone, but that, of course, will be a question for any side that comes on. Even if they were a yes vote, which is a good thing, by the way, is the right decision to make. The yes vote, we'll ask them their reasoning behind it, and we will ask no votes as the same question. Okay, no surprise, but an update from yesterday. A newly introduced bill in the New York State Assembly aims to phase out the sale of gasoline-powered lawn equipment, including leaf blowers and lawnmowers, as part of a broader push to reduce emissions from small off-road engines. Kudos to everyone, and I know it was kind of an easy prediction, but kudos to everyone who predicted this. The legislation, Assembly Bill 2114, was introduced on January 15th. This is the first I think many of us had heard about it. So we predicted something that already happened. But remember, there was talks of it in an article that we had yesterday. It was presented by Assembly members Amy Paulin, Andrew Ray Carroll, and Dana Levenberg, and referred to the Committee on Environmental Conservation. The measure would amend the state's environmental conservation law by creating a new section that explicitly prohibits the sale of gas-powered lawn care devices statewide. Now, note here, it does say, let's continue. If enacted, the law would require the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to issue detailed regulations governing the transition and ensure that the sale of gasoline-powered leaf blowers and lawnmowers is prohibited by January 1st of 2029. This is very much like the full electric houses. They do this, they virtue signal, it will most likely pass. They get their kudos from the far left, far extreme environmentalist groups, and then the clock starts ticking. And we'll be here on Frankly Speaking in December of 2028 saying, hey, remember, in just a month, as we had said, this would be a disaster for New York. There will no longer be gas-powered lawn care devices. Now, it does not say specifically here, I'm not going to give you the reasons why you understand it's to push a far left global warming agenda, but it does not say here if that includes, as we had talked about yesterday, the snow blowers that are so important. But think of that, the health scares when people go out and shovel. All of these scenarios. Again, you may want an electric lawnmower. You may want an electric snowblower. That's fine. Go on and buy it. I don't need Assembly members Amy Paulin, Andrew Rhea Carroll, and Dana Levenberg telling me that I have to do it. That is the big difference, isn't it? All right, I know we're going to be running late all morning long. I can tell already. We haven't even scratched the surface. By the way, the feds did hold the interest rates steady yesterday, keeping interest rates in the current range, a move that was widely expected in spite of intensifying pressure from President Trump and the criminal probe into the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. So it's not necessarily a surprise, but still worth mentioning this morning. We got a lot more to cover. Stay with us. Your thoughts so far. We've talked about Steuben County passing that legislation. Great, that deal, I should say, with U.S. Marshals. Good move by the legislature. We talked about Belichick. We've talked about gas-powered vehicles or gas-powered lawn equipment, I should say. Your thoughts on all of this and anything else you'd like to weigh in on. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Forester Limited Hybrid all-wheel drive featuring heated steering wheel and power liftgate for only $329 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in Big Flats.
Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles, refreshingly cool iced coffee. Oh, don't mind me, just doing my morning affirmations. Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles.
Mix and match a sausage McMuffin with egg McMuffin, or sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. Get any two for just $5 and pair it with $1.99 any size iced coffee.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some viewer comments. I guess everybody forgot how much Belichick was found for cheating when the Patriots got caught cheating. First team that reported it was the Packers, and then it was the Jets, and eventually the Raiders were able to prove that the Patriots were recording practice sessions. That is why that they got caught cheating. That is when they got caught cheating. Excuse me. It is not a topic of discussion why he didn't get into the Hall of Fame. Is this not a topic of discussion why he didn't get into the Hall of Fame? Kind of butchered that a little bit, but I appreciate your comment. I appreciate your sentiment. Mark writes in, I guess small equipment sales in PA will go up, just like people going there for cigarettes and gun supplies. You're right. It will be a boon for Pennsylvania, and that's in reference to New York seeking. And remember, it's one-party rule in Albany, so this may sound fantastical, but they've got a couple things going for it. The one-party rule, so it most likely will go through, and they say by 2029. In Albany, they love doing that, where they virtue signal, say, we got it, we pat ourselves on the back, and then 2029 so far away, it'll never be here. And then, blink of an eye, it's here. Okay. I mentioned Nicki Minaj, the rapper. She flashed her Trump immigration gold card. She's on her way to obtaining U.S. citizenship. Minaj flashed the Trump gold card, which is emblazoned with the president's face, a bald eagle, and the Statue of Liberty, saying residency, the cope is coping. Finalizing that citizenship paperwork as we speak, as per my wonderful, gracious, charming president. Gold Trump card free of charge, she said. So it must be that $1 million price tag waived for Nicki Minaj. Minaj revealed that she was brought to the U.S. illegally as a child. This came up several years ago. I came to this country as an illegal immigrant at 5 years old. She's Trinidad born. She was at that unveiling of the Trump accounts where she said, I will say that I'm probably the president's #1 fan, and that's not going to change. The hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more and is going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him in the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Now, you may not care for Nicki Minaj's music, but when you have a celebrity that endorses this president, it's major news. And you've got to say kudos for the courage, because this is the kind of thing that can ruin a career. As we know. Speaking of unrelated topics, Melania Trump rang in the New York State, wait, what was it? Hold on. Yes, the New York Stock Exchange opening bell. So she rings the New York State Stock Exchange. Why do I keep adding state in there? I see NYS and we talk so much New York here. New York Stock Exchange to cheers from traders on the floor. In the near future, cultural influence will matter as much as economic power, she said. Melania continued, our ability to tell our stories and emotionally connect with audiences is paramount. Now, she is opening, so that was cool, opening the stock exchange, but her movie is coming out. Melania, which is licensed by Amazon as part of a whopping $40 million deal signed back in January of last year, will have its red carpet premiere tonight at the Trump Kennedy Center in Washington, with the president and first lady scheduled to attend. For the first time in history, people will witness the 20 days leading up to the inauguration through the eyes of the incoming first lady. A select group of guests, including first son Barron Trump, got a sneak peek at the film Saturday night in the White House. The film premieres nationwide on January the 30th, tomorrow, opening in more than 1,500 theaters across the U.S. It will stream exclusively on Amazon Prime Video at a later date. Now, in promotion of the video, and I see that Apple CEO had a party with Melania, and he has now been forced, that's Tim Cook, to send his staff a personal memo because there's so much backlash. So he had the audacity to attend a VIP party with the President of the United States and First Lady. He went to a private premiere of Melania's documentary. Okay. Anyway, so that's enough to try to cancel him. Going back to why it's impressive what Nicki Minaj is doing, because we know the long nights come out and it gets dangerous. I mean, especially with threats. I've got some examples of threats later on. We're going to give you an update on Ilhan Omar. We've got a couple of things that we've got to breeze through. We'll talk about Minnesota. We've got a couple of New York State updates as well. If you have any questions or comments about the topics we've discussed so far, keep them coming in. We're having a great discussion this morning, and it is 6:35. So we're kind of just starting. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
A concert of diva showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch, February 5th at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemenscenter.org.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm Marcus Stream Corning. Don't forget, later on in the program, we'll be talking with Greg Tranter about his book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games, because he is going to be in our area on Saturday at the Barnes & Nobles from 1 to 3 to sign those books. So for all of our Bills fans, make sure you tune in the 7 o'clock hour. You're going to really, everybody watching, even if you're not a Bills fan, it's a really entertaining interview. Tomorrow on the program, it is fan favorite, former Congressman, current Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. He'll be joining us, so get your questions in for Joe. And then on Monday, we're flipping the script. It's not Fridays with Phil, it's Mondays with Phil next week. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be joining us on Monday's edition. So how about that for a lineup? All right, comment from a viewer. It looks like go-karting in New York State is about to become extinct. All the local tracks will no longer be able to continue unless they can convert to something that will not be economic in any way, shape, or form. I know because we race in with my kid was a champion at one point. Yes, in reference to New York seeking to ban the sale of gas-powered lawnmowers and leaf blowers. Again, we have not heard if that means, because there was a push yesterday about the snow blowers. We'll see. Hey, by the way, Melania Trump was on the 5 yesterday, if you missed it. She weighed in on Barron having a very different first son experience this time around compared to Trump's first term in office. It's very different, Melania said. Barron was only 14 years old when his father left office in 2021. Now he's a sophomore at New York University's Stern School of Business. And he's shown more interest in White House affairs, as we saw during the election. He understands now he's involved. He knows what's going on in the world. He talks with his dad. He talks with me. He was very involved in the campaign. He gave him all of the ideas who we needed to talk to, all these YouTubers and podcasts. So he was really a smart mind behind it. Now, Melania, of course, promoting her documentary, which is out tomorrow, was asked about her husband's infamous dance moves. Something that has become a staple of rallies we've seen, which is, talk about a very, because Republicans have always struggled with this. Talk about a very important pop culture move by the president, because you saw athletes, actors doing the Trump dance. And you may say that, well, that's really just a blip on the map. That means nothing. It is very important. You know, Andrew Breitbart, who obviously has since passed many years ago, he had the line that politics is downstream from culture. So when you have this kind of pop culture influence that we see from Donald Trump, it's not something to take lightly. So they asked Melania about the dance moves. I like it at certain times, she said. The YMCA dance. Some days it was not appropriate, and I told him so. But it's his dance, and I think people loved it. Asked if she ever tried to shimmy like her husband, she said, I have. It's different than this, as she said, as she tried to dance a little bit like Trump. Now, President Trump has previously at rallies said that Melania doesn't like the dance. I thought that was kind of funny. This is something, and I don't remember if we predicted this on the program. Not that that matters. This isn't a show about predictions. But when I first heard about J.D. Vance and Usha Vance expecting their fourth child, great news, a boy, we're all excited to hear it. I thought, how are they going to tie this into Erica Kirk? Because remember, the media was despicably, that's not right. I went too big for my britches there for a second. The media was trying to desperately, how about that, create this drama, this soap opera drama that somehow, remember it was even J.D. Vance was going to divorce Usha and take with Erica Kirk, and it was just despicable. That's maybe what I was looking for. Despicable, disgusting. But now they have continued to push that narrative. And one of the lowest points in the publication's recent history, Slate published an article over the weekend entitled, quote, well, that is one way for J.D. and Usha Vance to respond to the Erica Kirk divorce rumors. The author, a woman named Heather Schwedel, suggested that J.D. and Usha Vance had a fourth child to quash rumors that the vice president would leave his wife for Erica Kirk. And that was so disgusting. And the media was pushing that narrative, that rumor, for so long. And when I saw the announcement of their fourth child, I said, how are they going to try to tie that in and keep pushing that vicious lie? Just proving again their hatred, not just for Trump, but anybody in Trump's circle, you, MAGA voters. I'm not going to read someone like Joy Reid pushing these conspiracy theories. It all comes from when Vance and Kirk hugged on stage after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is how Slate pushed this. And it's important to talk about the media's narrative. Schwedel said, quote, as a highly educated daughter of Indian immigrants, Usha not only doesn't burnish Vance's MAGA credentials, she undermines them. When reports of possible divorce on the horizon began to swirl in November, it wasn't altogether surprising. Reckoning with all those contradictions was inevitable, right? This is sickening, and we could go and look at what Schwedel had to say. But as Outkick mentions, the vice president and his wife appear to have one of the few normal relationships in Washington, D.C. If there were ever a political couple or former first couple to speculate over, it would not be them. Schwedel added in her disgusting piece at Slate, quote, in lieu of trading in his wife for a paler model, Vance has found another way to prove himself a good shepherd of the MAGA faithful. He and Usha are expected a fourth child in July, they announced this week. For all we know, there was never any trouble in the marriage, and the cognitive dissonance is pure projection. But it does make a kind of sixth sense. I'll continue. Sixth sense that if Vance can't have a white wife standing next to him as he clearly looks toward the 2028 presidential election, the next best thing is a pregnant one. I'm not a doctor, but if he's going to run in 2028 and she's pregnant now, I'm not sure how much of a pregnant wife will be standing by his side at the rallies. I think she'll have had the child by then. Again, I'm not a doctor, but that was quite a stretch. That's what we're dealing with the media. That's that hatred of Trump, of Vance. And the reason they're so scared of Vance is because he's such a formidable candidate in 2028. So they have to push that hate. And the sad thing is people eat it up. It's just like we were talking about with Steuben County, to tie it in locally. There were people that ate up the fact, oh, there's going to be an ICE detention center in Steuben County. The leader of the group admitted that that was not true at the protest at the legislature. But the damage was done, and in their way, they already got what they wanted. Spread the misinformation and lies and get more support. That's what articles like that are from Slate. Hey, by the way, Trump warned Iran that time is running out for nuclear deal as the U.S. military builds up in the Gulf. The U.S. president said a massive armada was moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose towards Iran. He warned that Iran, the time is running out to negotiate a deal on its nuclear program following the steady buildup of U.S. military forces in the Gulf. In response, Iran's foreign minister said the country's armed forces were ready with their fingers on the trigger to immediately and powerfully respond to any aggression by land or sea. Now, keep in mind, we saw the kind of, and I'm not saying they're not dangerous in some ways, but we saw what they had to offer, about a year ago when they had that drone attack and proving again that they're paper tiger. Who was it that said yesterday? That I think it was Marco Rubio, that Iran is at their weakest level yet. They've spent too much money trying to build arms, build nuclear weapons, and that's why their economy is collapsing and why people are protesting in the street. Unfortunately, we've heard of how many of those protesters have been murdered by the regime. You're talking of tens of thousands. People are scared to go into the street. But Benjamin Ben Talbou says Trump's noose is tightening on Iran. Nobody can say President Donald Trump didn't give Tehran a chance, even at the 11th hour, with massive military assets pouring into the Middle East after Iran's brutal attack on its own protesting people. Trump has offered the regime an off-ramp. Negotiate a fair and equitable deal, he said on social media. If not, he wrote, he'll order a strike considerably more damaging than his June attack against the nuclear program. Now, Trump's choice in the coming days will have profound implications for great power competition with China and Russia, for America's credibility, and for deterrence against adversaries everywhere. The Iranian people are rising against their oppressors. They're not demanding better terms from the Ayatollah. They want the Ayatollahs gone and are unlikely to settle for a Venezuelan-style option involving musical chairs at the top. Trump prides himself on winning. In Iran, that means only one thing: helping Iranians drive their brutal regime into history's graveyard. All right, we got to take a short break. See your comments, see your waves coming in. We'll get to those when we return. Wow, I am running that late. This is Frankly Speaking.
New York State is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, the Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
Foss, your destination for both essential classics and new sensory journeys. Looking for something smooth and velvety, or long and satisfied, with a savory, spicy finish? With originally recognized bourbon section, let us be your guide. Foster's, elevate your spirits.
Lease a brand new 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE all-wheel drive featuring 17-inch alloy wheels and remote start for only $329 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rock.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Why did I say that? Hesselson's studio, live and proudly. We're always proud to be in the Hesselson studio. All right, comment from a viewer. Did you hear about the guy that's running for Ohio Attorney General? He's going to kill Trump, he said, right on Instagram. He's going to do it with capital punishment after he secures a conviction with due process. Yes, we talked about him yesterday on the program, as a matter of fact. It was Elliot Foran, a Democrat candidate for Ohio Attorney General. And he said, I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I'm going to kill Donald Trump. That's how he starts it. I mean, it's going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in the sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say I'm going to kill Donald Trump, end quote. So many people went on social media. We talked about it yesterday extensively on the program. Absolute psychopath, a.k.a. a moderate Democrat, said Dave Rubin. Robbie Starbuck said people with TDS are a lot like drug addicts. The high of impeachment declarations in jail just don't give them the same high anymore. Now we have Democrats running on killing the president. This guy belongs in an insane asylum. Ohio Republican Treasury candidate Jay Edwards said, Democrats, your silence is telling, calling the comment unhinged. Ohio Republican attorney Mick Cook said this is normalizing political murder. We will never vote for death. People calling it vile, referencing, look, the two assassination attempts on the president. Of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. In the past, Elliot Foran had previously sparked outrage for posting blank Charlie Kirk shortly after Kirk was assassinated. Now, in a statement by who's Brown? I don't know. I'm not going to read any statements. In a statement, here we go. Foran did not withdraw his comment when Fox asked him the question. If Donald Trump tries again to end American democracy, then as Ohio Attorney General, I will hold him accountable to the fullest extent of the law. On the other hand, the views expressed by my Republican opponents in a recent op-ed are no more than those of a simple Trump thug. He does not believe in the truth or the rule of law. He asks Ohioans to disbelieve what they saw with their own eyes. I'm not going to go through this. We don't want to give him any more of a soapbox than that. By the way, just because we're talking about the radical left and who the one person saying that guy is sadly a Democrat moderate, Lindsay Cornick from Fox tells us about the Minocqua, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, Minocqua Brewing Company in Wisconsin, MINOCQUA, Brewing Company in Wisconsin. They promoted a deal for, quote, free beer all day long on the day President Donald Trump dies. That's their marketing tactic. Progressive Wisconsin Brewing Company. That's what I guess progressive means now. Quote, free beer all day long the day he dies. Show us this post when it happens in a few months and we'll make it good on that promise. Was that a threat? In a few months? To put a time frame on that? That's scary. The company added, update, we meant the Madison Tap Room because that's open all year. If he dies in the summer, then it's going to be the Minocqua Tap Room. Now, because they thought they were cute, they did not mention Trump's name, though several of the post's 2,000 comments assume the post referred to the president. Wow. The hatred, folks. Just how is that? Is that a life to live filled with that kind of hatred now for 10 years? We got to take a short break, though. Stay with us. We got so much to cover. We'll be right back, getting ready to wrap up hour number 1.
When winter weather hits the Twin Tiers, the road changes fast, and your tires should keep up. At Tire World, we're here to make sure you're ready for every snowy morning, icy curb, and late-night drive home. From all season to dedicated snow tires, our experts help you find the perfect fit for your car, your budget, and the way you drive. Fast service, trusted brands, and safety you can feel every mile. Don't wait for the first storm and roll into winter with confidence. Tire World of Corning, family service you can trust.
Going to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally. So we go.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, getting ready to wrap up hour number one as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio. So, Trump claims without evidence, says The Hill. Ilhan Omar probably had herself sprayed. This is in reference to the person attacking Ilhan Omar at that town hall and her being sprayed with a, at the time, unknown substance. I don't think about her, Trump said. I think she's a fraud. She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her. When asked if he'd seen video of the incident, the president said, I haven't seen it. No, I hope I don't have to bother. So Ilhan Omar suggests Trump is to blame for the syringe attack. He is so obsessed with me, and that's what I know a talking point that the left really likes to use, that Trump's obsessed with me, and it gets, AOC and others have said it in the past. The man that attacked me was specifically upset that Trump's order to deport Somalis was not yielded enough deportations of Somalis, she said. He wanted to come get that person he thought was protecting the Somalis. That was suspect 55-year-old Anthony Kazmirzak. What we learned, and remember, we read to you what people were saying on the ground. They said that the smell was so obnoxious that they went out and vomited, that they got sick to their stomach. I think that could either be the fog of what was happening at the moment or trying to, again, it's not right to attack her, but just to put more force behind the attack, because we learned yesterday that the liquid was apple cider vinegar. Maybe not the most pleasant smell, but I'm not sure it's vomit-inducing. I don't want to go through all about this guy, but again, Ilhan Omar suggests Trump is to blame for the attack, so obsessed with me. By the way, I find it interesting, no matter where you go, you find all about the accused attacker, everything about his social media history and who he supported, and of course they're saying he's a Republican and Trump supporter. Why does that never seem to happen? For instance, the attempted assassination of President Trump, we don't know about his social media post. We don't know, I don't know, did we know much about Charlie Kirk's assassin? It doesn't seem like they get as in-depth with maybe the political beliefs when something bad or horrible happens from someone that you would assume would be the left. Or you have the examples that we've seen in the past where, no, it's a Trump supporter. That person's a Trump supporter, and then, of course, that wasn't true. They found somebody with the same name that looked nothing like them. Or what was the attack? Oh, the pipe bomb attack in D.C., attempted attack. Jake Tapper said it was a white person. It turned out not to be because they showed the picture. Clearly not. I mean, it's just really interesting. The media is so predictable. We got a lot to talk about in the next hour. Minnesota, some New York State updates. We're going to do a recap on yesterday's Steuben County legislative meeting. If you did not hear already, we'll just do a quick recap because some of you did. And in the next hour, Greg Tranter will be our guest. So stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2 after this.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world.
Hey, you're sober? You drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
From Excel Member Service. to easy, reliable, and secure digital banking, and a deep commitment to the communities we call home. First Heritage is proud to be part of our members' everyday lives. That's why we're honored to be named Best Credit Union in the Twin Tiers 5 years in a row and Best Locally Owned Business in 2025. To our members, thank you for your trust, your loyalty, and your votes. And if you're not yet a member, visit fhfcu.org or stop by your local branch and see for yourself what makes First Heritage the best.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. Sorry, I was thinking the roof cam was up. Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and I am so glad that you've joined us. We've covered a lot already. Keep your comments. I was looking at some of those. That's why I got distracted. In this hour, Greg Tranter will tell us about his book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games, and that he will have a book signing at Barnes & Noble Saturday from 1 till 3. We're going to find out about the book, what else the future holds for the Bills, these type of things. We're going to have a nice discussion coming up in a little bit. Also on tomorrow's program, former Congressman, current Assemblyman, Joe Sempolinski, fan favorite, so don't miss out. Joe Sempolinski joining us tomorrow. And on Monday, we're changing it up. It's Fridays with Phil, but on Monday, maybe it's a weird Groundhog's Day thing is why we're doing it. But Monday, Phil Palmisano will be joining us. Okay. Just for those of you who are just joining us, yesterday, protesters did show up at the Steuben County Legislative meeting. This was in reference to a lie that was being pushed on social media about an ICE detention center being built in Steuben. That is not the case. What the case actually was just the vote on renewing the sheriff's agreement for federal prisoners. This had been in Steuben County, this system for 30 years, this agreement for about 30 years. So there was nothing new. The only new part of it was there's an increase in how much Steuben County receives. It's now $130 a day. Now, we had, and I mentioned this a lot yesterday on the program because we knew that it was a lie being pushed on social media, but like I said, they didn't care. They could get the numbers of protesters, and then they can get their media attention and show the whole world is against Trump and the whole world is against ICE. There was around, I'm being told, about 100 people, each speaking their full amount of time, 3 minutes, during public comments, which is, as you can imagine, starting to get a little time consuming. I heard it was a little over, 2 hours, the meeting. But at the end of the day, well, their argument was this isn't, they admitted that they knee-jerked and lied about the ICE detention center, but, and so there's always that but. So even though I duped all of you to come here to my protest, but we don't like ICE anyway, so let's have that as our protest. So their argument was this new ICE is not the same as the old ICE. I don't remember them cheering on old ICE, but apparently that's their new talking point. But what it really boils down to, and this is why I went on this tangent, importantly, the right decision was made by the legislature, and they gave the okay to keep the agreement going with the U.S. Marshals. The vote only had 4 nays. I was going to try to find that real quick, the exact legislature. Let's see. Here we go. So the no votes, these are people that voted against the agreement with the U.S. Marshals, the agreement that had been in place for around 30 years. The no votes go as follows. Michael Volino. Now, Michael Volino is Republican from Cameron, Canisteo, and Thurston. Fred Potter, who is Republican from Greenwood, Jasper, Rathbone, Troopsburg, West Union, and Woodhull. Joe Tobia, Democrat from the city of Corning, and Deb Shannon, Democrat from the town of Irwin. So they all voted no, but it ultimately passed, and that's the important thing. So that's great, and we want to say big kudos to Hilda Lando, who stood up in the face of those protesters who got very nasty, because she's a Democrat, and many of those protesters, of course, if not all Democrats, yelling things like shame and like that. So big pat on the back, kudos to Hilda Lando, who stood strong and saw what was right about this agreement and saw through the lies that were pushed on social media. But unfortunately, like I said, that bad deed of lying to the leader, lying to their fellow protesters, that bad deed was ultimately rewarded by getting the media's attention, by having a larger crowd, even if that crowd was sent there on false pretenses. They got their coverage. They got their likes and their shares on Facebook. Also, since we're going through it, as predicted on yesterday's broadcast, a newly introduced bill in the New York State Assembly aims to phase out the sale of gasoline-powered lawn equipment, including leaf blowers and lawnmowers, as part of a broader push to reduce emissions from small off-road engines. We'll have to ask Assemblyman and former Congressman Joe Sempolinski on the program tomorrow his thoughts on that, because remember, it is one-party rule in Albany. So the more radical ideas that we kind of tend to laugh at very often are ultimately passed. No news. I'm going to do some more research after today's broadcast. No news if that includes snow blowers. That was the big talk on yesterday's program. Just typing that into my ever-growing list of questions for the Assemblyman who will be on tomorrow. All right. What we learned yesterday as we start our conversation about Minneapolis, Alex Preddy had appeared to spit at ice, kick out the taillights in the previous confrontation where we heard that there was allegedly broke a rib. Harrowing new footage shows Alex Preddy armed, spitting at federal immigration officers and smashing the taillights of their black SUV during a chaotic clash more than a week before he was fatally shot. This comes off the heels of yesterday. It was being reported that he was known by the feds. Now, the Border Patrol agents who were involved in the shooting have been placed on standard administrative leave per the CBP firearms policy. So this is standard operating procedure. The granting of up to 24 hours of administrative leave is offered to the employees for mental wellness related to the immediate stress related to the discharge of a service weapon and the use of force situation. Yesterday, the Department of Justice announced the arrest of 16 individuals in Minnesota for allegedly rioting and assaulting ICE agents, including a Somali immigrant who recently went viral on social media for saying, quote, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice, end quote. Attorney General, I guess that went viral. I'm not the best on social media. I guess I saw all the talk about Steuben County, but I didn't really see what people tell me are viral very often. Pam Bondi saying, I'm on the ground in Minneapolis today. Federal agents have arrested 16 Minnesota rioters for allegedly assaulting federal law enforcement, people who have been resisting and impeding our federal law enforcement agents. We expect more arrests to come. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nothing will stop President Trump and this Department of Justice from enforcing the law. Now, local prosecutors are joining forces to bring charges against the federal agents. 9 progressive prosecutors say they will work together to charge federal agents accused of wrongdoing, but they will face significant legal hurdles. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the rhetoric that is coming out. And by the way, we do, as I said, we do have that interview coming up. I would love to hear your comments when in regards to Steuben County and the legislature giving the okay to work with the U.S. Marshals so that we would house federal prisoners. I would like to hear your thoughts on that and your thoughts on lawn equipment being banned. And again, it's so perfect because they'll do it now and then not worry about it until 2029. And then we'll be right here together in 2028 saying, see, we told you. The clock is ticking, and now we only have a month or 2 months before. This is exactly what happened with the full electric house and no natural gas to houses, or no gas or anything but electric in houses. Same thing happened. They virtue signal, and then by the time it is right around the corner, It's almost as if they forgot. It's so predictable. All right. We were talking earlier about that Attorney General candidate out of Ohio. How about this? The Philadelphia District Attorney. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. He made remarks about federal immigration officers while supporting new legislation aimed at restricting ICE activities within the city. During a press conference outside City Hall promoting a new, quote, ICE Out initiative, Krasner, a progressive prosecutor, a district attorney, whose campaign has received backing from George Soros. Again, Larry Krasner, Philadelphia district attorney, said he pledged to, quote, hunt down ICE agents, then compared them to, any guesses? Nazis. He argued that the agency's practices represented federal overreach and violated constitutional rights. Let me read you the exact quote. And we got to give credit where credit's due and put his name out there because he was proud of this. He thought he was being provocative. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner said, quote, this is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice. State Senator Jarrett Coleman, a Republican from Allentown, dismissed the comments as political theater. I don't think you can take things like that lightly. You can't just call it political theater. You can't just brush it off. Same with the Attorney General candidate in Ohio and just say, they were trying, like I said, trying to be provocative. It is more than that. That's why I say give credit where credit's due, not in a positive way. Cite them. Let people know their names. Because if they want to stand by their words, let them. Because he's going to have to run again. This guy in Ohio, he is running. Do not vote for this kind of rhetoric. It's as simple as that. The White House condemned the rhetoric. Spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said ICE officers have faced a significant increase in assaults due to what she called dangerous, untrue smears by elected Democrats. Citing a reported 1,300% rise in attacks, Jackson said ICE agents act heroically to enforce the law and protect American communities. She added that local officials should cooperate with federal law enforcement rather than undermine it. Anyone pointing the finger at law enforcement officers instead of the criminals is simply doing the bidding of criminal illegal aliens. All right. Oh, and you know where this rhetoric leads to when you call ICE Nazis? When you say that, call them Gestapo, these type of things? Right in our backyard, that's a stretch, but in New York, Kenmore, New York. The Department of Homeland Security is investigating a woman who the agency said tried to buy a gun to kill ICE agents. The unnamed woman is being investigated for twice trying to buy a firearm in Kenmore, which is a suburb of Buffalo, to attack immigration and customs enforcement agents, according to the DHS. According to DHS, the woman said she wanted to, quote, buy a gun to protect herself from ICE agents and also to kill ICE agents, end quote. More information about the woman and the incidents, including when she is suspected of trying to buy a gun, were not immediately clear. But when you see this kind of rhetoric, when you see the lies, even something as simple as the lies being told here in Steuben County that there was going to be a nice immigration center, the lies that are being pushed and the vitriol is sickening. We had a comment, as a matter of fact, and I'm sorry I forgot to read this at the top of the hour. The viewer said, full disclosure, no matter how disgusted I was for the Democrat presidents, the last one I liked was JFK. I would never wish death on any of them. The Democrats have such TDS that they pray for his demise. What unbelievable vitriol they have. I know, it's troubling, but that's what happens. I thought that one person had a good point when it's almost like a drug addiction, where talking about impeachment, talking about jail time doesn't fuel their hatred the way it once did. So it continues to grow, continues to expand, so they look for more radical ways to feed that addiction. So I'm with you. It is unbelievable vitriol, but think of how many examples of that we had just recently, right here, with attacks on ICE, with attacks on Trump, that bar saying free drinks for the full day when Trump didn't use Trump's name, but it was insinuated, passes, and then for some cryptic reason said in a couple months, which sounds very much like a threat to me. But we can go on and on with this. With the attacks, the vitriol is sickening and it's scary. Well, listen to Chris Murphy. He says Trump wants to wage a war on people who aren't white. These are the kind of arguments they're making, if you can call them that. Bruce Springsteen, this shouldn't be a surprise. Oh, I got to take a break. Wow. We're going to take a short break, read some comments if you want to send them in, do a couple quick stories, then we're going to talk with Greg Tranter. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're searching for an exceptional spirit, your journey begins here at Foster's. With our expertly curated selection, Foster's will help you find just the right wine or spirit for the occasion. Foster's. Elevate your spirits.
Hi, this is Till, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Forester Limited Hybrid all-wheel drive featuring heated steering wheel and power liftgate for only $329 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in Big Flats.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Still a very snowy Marcus Street, as you can see. We know is not melting off. Let's go to some viewer comments. Here we go. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Governor Hochul will swoop in and take the electric mowers off the table just in time for the election. She has a snow shoveling video. Maybe she'll have a video of one of those old rotary reel mowers. Oh my gosh, can you imagine going back to those? Yeah, maybe she will. I think you're exactly on point, because that's what happened with the electric house, the full electric houses and buildings. That's what she's doing. I think I even have a piece here that she's changing some of her positions, looking for an off-ramp, for lack of a better word, for some of these radical climate policies that they put into place. So yes, if it's right before an election year, 2029, she will jump in and save the day, so you won't have to buy the extremely expensive electric mower. Comment from a different viewer, just tuned in. Well, thanks for joining us. You missed a lot. Did all the legislators vote yes? Well, thanks for asking. I'll tell you in just a second. Continuing with the message, just saw that they're melting snow in New York City. I wonder if solar and wind is running those machines. I doubt it. I know it's not dirty oil. Yes, I know. Yes, of course, they would never. No, to your answer, the legislation did pass. The okay to work at Steuben County, the okay to work with the U.S. Marshals and house federal prisoners was passed. So that is good news. On the no votes, there were 4 no votes. They are as follows. Legislator Michael Volino, a Republican from Cameron, Canisteo, and Thurston. Fred Potter, a Republican from Greenwood, Jasper, Rathbone, Troopsburg, West Union, Woodhull. Joe Tobia, Democrat from the city of Corning, and Deb Shannon, Democrat from the town of Irwin. So those were the no votes. Not seen statements released as to why. And I do want to know, I know I keep noting this, but there are three Democrats on the legislature. That's Deb Shannon, Joe Tobia, and Hilda Lando. Deb Shannon and Joe Tobia voted no on this agreement, but Hilda Lando, kudos to Hilda Lando, who stood up against the protesters who were yelling at her and saw what was right and voted yes. So it ultimately passed. So there is your update. See how good this is for news? You can text, and we change topics just to keep you informed. How about this? A comment from a different viewer before we go to break. Elmira raised the water rate by about $5. Thank you so much, you blanks. Why is it that agencies like the water department are able to raise rates at a whim without any input or public ballot voting? I know it's not public ballot, but I think that would be a decision by the city council or the town board, depending on where you're at, in Elmira City Council. I believe that goes through that, and probably at one point was during a meeting where there would have been public comment, but no, it's not a ballot thing. They don't normally put increases on the ballot for obvious reasons. But it's a good idea. We'd have much lower taxes, wouldn't we? A comment from a different viewer, and this is in regards to Steuben County Legislature and the people that voted no. Shame on them all. Vote them out. Thank you, viewer. Those were the no that voted against the agreement, though ultimately the agreement did pass. All right, we got to take a short break. Greg Tranter is going to be our guest. Tell all your Buffalo Bills fans that you know to tune in after this break, because it's a fun one. Greg Tranter is going to be at Barnes & Noble's this Saturday from 1 to 3, and he'll have his book there to sign, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games. We're going to talk about his book, but also all the, we'll say, the activities after their last game at the old stadium till today. We'll talk about that when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking, and we'll be right back.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
For our auto team!
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio and returning to the Zoom Hesselson studio. Greg, thanks so much for being on the program.
Hey, thanks a lot for inviting me back, Frank.
Well, we were very excited when we saw that you're having a hometown boy makes good. He's coming to Barnes and Nobles January 31st from 1 to 3 doing a book signing. We talked about this a little bit last time you were on the program. Tell us about One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games.
Yeah, so One Bills Drive is basically we did a book to focus on the greatest 50 games played at the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's officially closed,
Right.
So we really wanted to put it out this year while people were experiencing, the last games they were gonna go to. So we highlight the top 50.
Was it difficult to highlight the top 50? I mean, all the games that played there, all the options. I'm sure things can get controversial at times.
Yeah, no, it was actually quite a bit easier, because of course I did this book with, my co-author Bud Bailey. And Bud and I each created our own list of 50, and then we shared the lists, and 47 of the 50 we both had. We didn't have them necessarily in the same order.
Wow, that's impressive, though.
Yeah, it was like crazy. Like I thought we'd be spending weeks debating which game should be on and not, and it was really easy after that.
Did you have other people involved to kind of look over it too, or is it just a decision between the two of you?
Well, no, it was interesting. Back in 2021, I surveyed about 10 other Buffalo football people that were really focused on Bills history and asked them what were their top 25 games.
Yeah.
And I basically calculated all that, kind of put it aside, and then brought it back out. And of course, pretty much almost all the 50 games were mentioned by one or more of those 10 people.
Wow.
And the top 20 were very, very consistent. Not necessarily in the same order,
right?
But the top 20 were pretty unanimous.
Now, how long does it take to put something like this together?
Well, this one went really fast because we had started writing the stories in January of last year.
Oh, okay.
With the idea that we would actually publish it in 2026.
Okay.
And then Bud and I, basically, we each wrote 25 of the stories and then shared with each other and edited each other's. So by July, we had actually 85 stories that we had written.
Oh, wow.
And then we approached the publisher, Reedy, who ended up publishing the book. And they said, well, we would only want to do 50. It's like, yep, okay, fine. And they were like, yeah, but we'd really like to do it this year, not next year, because everybody's going to be emotional and engaged in the current state.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh my gosh, we got to hurry up then, because they wanted a complete manuscript with photos and everything by Labor Day.
Wow. So that is a quick.
Because usually when we do a book like this, it's a couple-year project from the time we start to when it actually hits the bookshelves. This was less than a year.
Were you stressed this last season, hoping that there wasn't some gigantically great game?
Well, of course, yes, and of course there were.
Exactly. I don't want to say anything, but
there were two that definitely would have made the list.
Yeah.
One, of course, the Ravens game on opening night, which we have our final manuscript basically done.
Yeah.
And then the Bengals game later in the year, the 39-34 crazy game in the weather and stuff. And, I don't know if we would have put the Jets final game in.
Yeah.
But we certainly would have commented about like the post game and
how
that all played out.
Well, I did want to ask you about that, and we'll talk more again. The Barnes and Noble signing this Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. What did that last game feel like in the stadium? Because I mean, that's really where your love of the Bills began, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I went to my first game there when I was 16 and basically spent my life there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of surreal in that the game itself, I mean, the Bills were playing all their backups,
I know.
and still dominating the game. But what they did is they came out, I don't know, with about 10 minutes left in the game and told the fans, don't leave, that we're going to have a post-game, celebration. And, Bills fans, I mean, when we're up 3 or 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, everybody's, heading out.
Like any game, right?
Right. Well, very, very few people left.
Yeah.
And then they had this tribute video that was just fantastic.
I heard.
They basically showed a bunch of highlights but they played it to the Goo Goo Dolls music, and of course the Goo Goo Dolls are from Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they played some of their music, so it was just like this, like Buffalo coming together kind of thing. This, almost, but it was really, to some degree, sad. I mean, it was almost like a funeral.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, when they were playing the tribute video, I mean, everybody was crying.
I know. It's almost unfair when they do something like that. You got Goo Goo Dolls, you've got all the memories showing up on the screen. It's like if you go to a funeral and the Taps or Danny Boy starts playing. It's like, you can't do this. That's not fair, right?
Exactly. And then when it was over, people still weren't, like, leaving. And, the other part that was interesting is several of the players came back out and, like, watched the video.
Yeah. Wow.
They, like, wanted to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting. But then when people finally left, nobody was in a hurry. Like, normally when the games are ending, everybody's rushing to get to their car.
It's a nightmare, yeah.
Right? It was like this funeral procession.
Yeah.
Just everybody walking out. It was pretty quiet. People weren't really saying much. But the tribute video was really, really good.
And it was interesting watching it on TV to see what is, like, essentially the atmosphere normally of almost a preseason game.
Yeah.
Meaning the significance of the game and things like that, to have it elbow to elbow, and like you said, to see people right up until the end on the screen. There was something for those of us sitting at home that was kind of an amazing takeaway from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what's it going to feel like for you as it kind of sinks in and you have time and you get ready for next season to go to the new stadium? What do you think that feeling is going to be like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm without a doubt going to miss the old stadium, but I mean, I'm sure the excitement will build.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the new stadium, I'm sure, is going to be, beautiful and have all kinds of amenities that the old stadium didn't have.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if the sight lines are as good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about the current stadium is you were so close to the field. The sight lines were just fantastic, almost no matter where you sat in the place.
Right. Now, what are you going to do, because you obviously have such a collection, we talked about your collection in the past, what about the memorabilia from the stadium? Because I understand they're going to have big auctions and things like that. Are you already refinancing your home, or what are you
Well, what they did is they sent out an email, this was probably a month before the season ended, and offered to season ticket holders to buy your seats.
Oh, that's great.
So I bought my seats.
Of course.
And they said that we'll be able to pick them up probably the end of March or April.
Yeah, wow. That's such a good idea, but it's also such a nice gesture for people that have been diehard fans for so long.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm going to put them in my sports room.
Yeah.
And I can actually sit in my seats and watch the Bills on TV.
Yeah. That's great.
But they're also selling other memorabilia from the stadium. Like, for example, they're cutting up goalposts and they're selling them as like pencil holders, and they're even selling urinals.
Oh, no. Wow. Someone has a lot of money to blow if they want that. I don't even know. There's not enough sanitizer in the world for me to put that in my house personally, but that just may be my own.
I'm with you, but there are people that are buying them, I guess.
And even as a talking point, be like, hey, everybody, welcome to my party. Come here, I got to show you the bathroom. Like, it's not even necessarily a good conversation starter when you really think about it.
No. And then I'm sitting there going, okay, well, now will somebody like want to get them autographed by former players or opponents?
Yeah. Let's move on. No, I do think it's really special, though, and that's something that the Bills obviously offer their fans, is that connection. Like, I've talked to people that also bought their chairs, or they were looking for, just questions about some memorabilia and things that meant a lot to them, and they've been nothing but forthcoming and saying, hey, we're going to help you in every way we can. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and they're pretty much going to sell everything.
Yeah.
Which is good. So so people will have access, even if you weren't a season ticket holder. You're going to get access to all different kinds of collectibles. That's
great. Now, we do have to talk about the season that was. What are your feelings as you have a little time to look back at it?
Well, I mean, it was like this team never seemed to like really completely click.
Yeah.
There always felt like there was something missing. But even with that said, I mean, the win over Jacksonville, which I went down to Jacksonville and went to that game, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great win, and I actually thought that a win there might jettison them because I actually thought Jacksonville at the time might have been the best team. And then to win that game, and then of course to go to Denver and lose the way we lost.
I know that. What is it? It's almost like the Bills thing, right? I mean, you watch that and it's like, let them win or lose on their own, and we don't have to go into kind of relitigating that. But boy, that's a frustrating ending to that.
Well, in all ways, right? I mean, not only the Brandon Cooks, was it a interception or was it a catch, but then, you know, they haven't been calling pass interference the entire game, and then they called two basically that decided the game. It's like you said, let the players decide the game, and it was a really, really good game. Yeah,
absolutely. That's almost more frustrating in a way. I guess if you're going to lose big, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game, but you can't take anything away from the season. And I know we talked about it, you and I think the last time you were on. It's too bad they couldn't get in sync the year that Kansas City was completely out of it.
Oh yeah, well, and I mean, and you sit here and you go,
yeah,
I'm quite confident we would have come to New England and won.
Yeah.
I just think we beat them the last time we played them. I think that would have been in the back of their heads.
Mm-hmm.
We would have scored a bunch of points. I think we would have beat New England, but we didn't. And I know my New England friends that are, of course, huge fans.
Yeah.
The one team they didn't want to play in the playoffs was us.
Oh, I'm sure. And I want to ask you more because after the season ended, it didn't settle down from there. We'll say that. If the only thing is sped up. But since you mentioned New England, I just had this as a side note. What do you think about Belichick not being first ballot Hall of Famer?
It's completely wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Hey, personally, I didn't like the guy, right?
No.
I mean, and the way that he treated the media with the disrespect that he continually did, I thought that was appalling.
Mm-hmm.
But also the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they don't have any clauses about any. It's all about on-field performance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on-field performance.
It's
if
undeniable.
He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Who is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I know we're talking about the Bills. We're talking about One Bills Drive. We've got the Barnes & Noble's autograph session this Saturday from 1 to 3. But I just had to mention because to me, it's opening a new can of worms where what does that mean for the Hall of Fame? Because when people like us who don't like Belichick can come together and say, well, come on, what are we doing?
Right. No,
Yeah.
I think the Hall of Fame loses its credibility.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't put a guy like that in, it's like, oh, and then, are you going to put Robert Kraft in?
Yeah.
Well, what about his, out off the field activities?
Sure,
right?
sure.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. But that's not why we're here to talk. Let's go back. So the season ends, and then I'll be full disclaimer. I did not personally like the decision, but they let go of McDermott. What did you think about that decision?
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised at the decision in that, 6 chances, where you're right there.
Sure.
And 6 really heartbreaking losses. Can Sean get you over the top? I wasn't surprised at it. I was surprised at how it came about.
Yeah.
Like, in listening to the press conference, it sounded like Terry never thought about firing McDermott until he walked into the locker room afterwards and saw his quarterback crying. Well,
yeah.
What did you expect?
Yeah.
It was a heartbreaking loss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first loss that the Bills have had in the playoffs that was really on Josh.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he did not play well at all. And so I'm sure he was, like he said, I let my whole team down.
Yeah.
So to make a major decision, because I would have thought if he was going to make that decision, he would have been reaching out to coaches Saturday night, Sunday, before he ever acted on Sean. And then to let Sean go only and not Bean.
Yeah.
It's like those guys have been hooked at the hip since they came.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're both accountable for where we are.
And that ended like a little bit of a soap opera aspect to it when Bean got in. I mean, really, and I personally didn't like, for lack of a better word, blaming Josh. Well, he was crying. I didn't like seeing that. That almost puts the onus on Josh somehow. I don't really understand the press conference itself. That's, I suppose, that was probably one of the worst press conferences I'd seen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And then when they went to Bean and they said, well, what are you looking for in a head coach? And he said, we don't have any criteria. It's like, what? Like, this is 3 days afterwards.
Yeah.
And then the coaches that they interviewed were underwhelming from my perspective. Like, where was Mike Tomlin? Where was Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
Where was John Gruden? Where was Kurt Signetti, Marcus Freeman, Nick Saban?
Yeah.
Those are all guys that have won at the highest levels. We didn't talk to any of those people. We talked to a bunch of coordinators and, Brian Daboll.
Yeah. And wasn't that kind of the biggest fear, too, that it was going to be one of those where we hear in the past with the Bills, well, we picked the defensive line coordinator, and it's always some weird pick where we said, I don't even know this person. Why are we going this direction?
Yeah. So, I mean, based on who they picked or who they interviewed, it's like, okay, Joe Brady's probably the best of that lot.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing, and I've seen so many people comment on this, so McDermott couldn't have handled it classier with that statement. I mean, that was, talk about borderline emotional listening to him read that statement. It was tough to watch. And I heard someone say after that statement, I'm paraphrasing, and then the way Pegula handled the press conference, Pegula and that team made it as if you're a head coach, you don't want to be a part of a team with Josh Allen. That's how poorly they handled it.
Yeah. I mean, because like I was disappointed in that. Like, I would have thought Terry would have basically opened that press conference with, hey, this was one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make.
Yeah.
Sean has meant a whole lot to this football program. We wouldn't be here today without his contributions. But we hit a playoff wall. Yep. Okay. We all bought into that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you have to thank him for what he did, because go back to 2017, we were a mess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's true. And just, I think, too, because McDermott has done so much for the team through the years, it was just tough to have that be his last game. The way it happened.
Without a doubt. And the way we lost it. Right?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I mean, that's that to me. But again, a classy statement. I would suggest, like in the past, Pegula maybe not think about doing a press conference again anytime soon. Maybe leave that to the professionals. Right?
Yeah.
But that's me getting a little petty, I suppose. But it was a tough one.
No, it was. But the fan base likes to hear from the owner, though.
You're right. And I think it's always overhyped. And this is sports in general, where you started to see the headlines that he loses the Bills fan base. You'd have to do a lot to lose the Bills fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so. And I know they started pushing the idea that there's a petition that got 80,000. Yeah. I mean, it's sports is no different than politics, is no different than there's the media's coverage, right?
Right. Well, and if Joe Brady has a great press conference tomorrow, we'll all be on board.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the nature of the game, right? But we covered a lot right there in 5 minutes. I thought it would take longer. It seemed like an eternity when you were watching it, the press conference and all of it.
No, it was painful to watch. I felt bad for everybody, and then I felt bad for poor Keon Coleman too.
I know. We don't have to start that part either. No. But boy, that must have been. Why am I even a part of this? Why am I coming up like this? That must have been so rough. But we actually are talking about One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games. The book signing at Barnes and Nobles coming up on Saturday from 1 to 3. Just as an update, and I know this is a kind of a long process you talked about in the past. How's the new book about Ralph Wilson coming?
Very, very good. I expect to get the copy edited version next week with all the publishers' suggested edits.
Oh, that's great.
And then I'll review that basically the month of February, and then they'll start doing the layout and the design of the pages in the book and the cover and all that. And when I talked to them last week, they expect it'll be released in July.
Wow, that's a great turnaround. You've got to be excited because that's been quite a work in progress.
Oh yeah, 4 years in the making, and so I'm excited to see what their comments are, because they do a great job. So I'm excited to see, because I know the last book I did with them, they made it better, which is what you hope the publisher does.
That's what you hope, right?
Right.
But One Bills Drive is out now. I know this probably goes without saying, but if people attend at Barnes and Nobles on this Saturday from 1 to 3, you can obviously buy the book there, right?
Oh yeah, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble has all the books available.
because I saw on the website you could get it now on the website as well, and I just want to make sure. I'm sure they will, and you'll sign them. I'm sure you're gonna. I won't talk too much more of your ear off because I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of great conversations on Saturday about McDermott, Pegula, but I'm sure you're gonna be repeating this.
I posted on my social media. I said, "Hey, come and we can talk about the book, or we can talk about what's happening with the Bills, or both."
And donate to my urinal fund. I want to own this. You have a coffee can right there. That sounds great. Well, Greg, thanks so much for being on the show. Best of luck on Saturday. I can't wait to stop by and visit.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I look forward to seeing you in person.
Let's have you on again soon, especially when the Ralph Wilson book comes out, okay?
All right. Great. Thanks a lot.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Stay with us.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, and warmer then finally as we go into next week.
William Mattar's been
you know
a
that
great brother, but I was surprised to learn how many people knew he was my brother.
William Mattar's on this?
Oh, brother.
Because when Big Insurance finds out that he's on a car crash case.
So who's on this?
They hired William Mattar.
Oh, brother.
Word travel. William Mattar has been a great brother, but I was surprised to learn how many people knew he was my brother.
William Mattar's on this?
Oh, brother.
Because when Big Insurance finds out that he's on a car crash case.
So who's on this?
They hired William Mattar.
Oh, brother.
Word travels fast.
You know, they got Mattar on this. Mattar? Oh, brother.
Hurt in a car? Call my brother, William Mattar, 444-4444.
When you're on, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
And Horseheads joined.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And of course, we thank Greg Tranter for being our guest this morning. He'll be signing his new book, One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' greatest home games at Barnes & Noble's this Saturday from 1 to 3. Let's go to some viewer comments. Back in the days of Art Bell, he would often comment that if he said anything, no matter how trite, about the president, he would knock on his desk with a sound effect, while he would talk about the feds knocking on his door, which he got numbers of times. Now death threats and assassination speak is just fine. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, some of these politicians are basically running on it. It's sickening. Comment from Ken. He writes, things that make you say, huh. Kristi Noem needs to be impeached for rushing to judgment, but it's okay for Walz and Frey to rush to judgment. Walz had a good conversation with Trump, and they have an understanding of the path forward, but they both seem to have different opinions on that agreement. Clinton, Obama, and Biden are on record demanding closed borders and praising ICE until they were for open borders and demonizing ICE. Well, one of the talking points that was made at the Steuben County Legislative meeting is the old ICE isn't the same as the new ICE, as if they were big proponents of ICE at the time. Thank you for the comments. We'll read some more. I know we're running late. Bruce Springsteen, the aged, kind of tired performer, now has a protest song out titled entitled Streets of Minneapolis, and he calls the president King Trump. Okay. Trying to become, I'm not saying he doesn't sell good tickets and pack out places, just become relevant again and have his songs heard at protests. Now, what's your thoughts on this? The New York Post editorial board said in the second Trump term, it turns out to be like The Apprentice without You're Fired. Then its ratings are going to resemble Joe Biden's. That means needlessly big losses in the midterm elections and an end to or even reversal of President Trump's agenda. President Biden never accepted blame for Afghanistan, for economic malaise and record inflation, or any of his other disasters, such as the endless waves of illegal migrants waved into the country. But he also never even implicitly admitted his team had failed by axing an obvious author of those debacles. None of his generals, nor Homeland Security Chief Mayorkas or Treasury Secretary Yellen, nor did he change the course that produced those debacles. So what this is boiling down to from the New York Post, and I just want to get your take on it. To move on, the president should axe someone, get smarter enforcement moving forward, and then get to selling his big successes. He's rightly starting a set of regular events flagging the economic turnaround from Biden. But if you can't draw a line on recent events, that message is all too likely to get drowned out. You need a high-profile firing, sir, then pivot to the economy. Now, Ben Democh says GOP can't go soft on immigration with the midterms looming. It's why voters picked Trump. And we had this thought process that came out yesterday as well. Capitol Hill Republicans are nervously chattering amongst themselves about whether Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem could be the first member of Trump's second-term cabinet headed to the exit. They're looking in the wrong direction. They should be focused on whether they're headed for the exits too. The big question facing Republicans in Washington and across the country isn't who should run DHS, but how they can respond to the obvious question about how ICE and Border Patrol agents are doing their job. Coming up with answers that satisfy voters could decide whether November's midterm elections allow Trump to continue his transformative agenda or whether a Democrat tidal wave sweeps a generation of leftist radicals in both houses of Congress. Donald Trump is president because that isn't the country Americans want to live in, with the crime and the streets and illegal immigrants, etc. Republicans need to recognize it. They can't dodge the fake news biased questions. They don't have to accept the media's unfair premise either. They just have to answer with truth. Now, we're nearing a government shutdown. Tomorrow is kind of the last day, so we're in last ditch effort deal. Talks are intensifying. It looks as if Democrats will probably push for a shutdown, whether it's because of ICE. But the sources indicated that the White House is moving closer to the Democrats' demands to split funding from the Department of Homeland Security from a larger funding package in order to give them time to negotiate new policy measures on the deployment of ICE agents across the country. So we'll be watching that closely. We got to take a break, wrapping up with a couple of New York State issues. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
How about investing in our children and their future? How about investing in Start Early and giving the next generation and generations to come the same chance we want for our own children? Invest in Start Early and become a champion for our youngest learners. Then together, we actually can change the future.
More cold for the day today, but we don't have the wind. We'll be up to 18 this afternoon only. And we'll maybe see a few flurries out there from time to time. Be aware of that if you're doing any traveling, especially up to the north. They still have some lake effect snow bands. And going into the weekend, we'll see the winds increasing as we have the potential of a nor'easter sliding by the east coast, and that's going to strengthen the winds here locally. We should stay dry. 13 Friday, 16 Saturday, warmer then finally. So we go.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, looking at some viewer comments. Go Bills! That was said during our interview with Greg Tranter. Comment from a different viewer. That was a fun interview with Greg. Thanks. Well, thank you to Greg for being on the program. And that book is called One Bills Drive, the Buffalo Bills' Greatest Home Games, with that signing this Saturday from 1 to 3 at Barnes & Nobles. So we appreciate him being on the program. Mark writes in, I saw on social media that Barron Trump and AOC had a fallout, but you can't believe everything on social media. Yeah, I would not believe that. Unless people can disprove me. It doesn't seem like Barron Trump is that public. It is. He is at rallies and various events with his father, but I don't see that being a real story. Comment from a different viewer. It was Biden's auto pen that was responsible for the mess, not Biden himself, who was asleep most of the time. Thank you very much. By the way, Tom Homan is going to speak today at a press conference at 8 a.m. He is in Minnesota, so we'll have updates for you on tomorrow's broadcast. By the way, you're going to get a kick out of this. We talked about Hochul. We talked about her teaching us how to shovel, potentially banning lawnmowers. Kathy Hochul has been snubbed twice in her hunt for a running mate for lieutenant governor. It's the second fiddle no one wants to play. Governor Kathy Hochul is struggling to find a running mate as two prominent Democrats declined her offer for the thankless and low-profile lieutenant governor role. Queensboro President Donovan Richards and State Senator Jamal Bali both recently turned down Hochul, who has had a bit of a cursed history with the role. The governor even tried to ask Richards a second time. Oof, ouch. Only again to be rebuffed. So sad, one source said, about the back-to-back rejections. She can't even find a lieutenant governor to run with her. What does that say about her? What does it say about the role as lieutenant governor? The troubles landing a running mate, which was first reported by New York One, comes a week before Hochul is expected to be nominated by state Democrats as their party's nominee in this year's gubernatorial election. Poor Governor Hochul. Now, Mamdani's ratcheting up the tax the rich rhetoric just as Hochul launches a re-election run, and she's saying she's downplaying this tax the rich, saying no. She's still a hard no on it. I see Mamdani actually blaming Cuomo and Adams for the $12 billion deficit. All right, that does it for today's edition. Thank you to all the comments that came in. I appreciate that. Thank you to Greg Tranter for being our guest. Tomorrow on the program, make sure you get your questions in early because we always run late with former Congressman, current Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. He'll be joining us tomorrow for nearly the whole 7 o'clock hour, sometimes even a little bit longer. And then on Monday, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be joining us. We have a lot of New York State comments. Thank you to everybody who's been paying close attention to what happened with the Steuben County Legislature yesterday. I do appreciate it, and we appreciate those that voted yes on the legislature. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I look forward to it already.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
A concert of diva showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular. Let it go.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch, February 5th at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemencencenter.org.